this is the only life I've ever known. So, being a musician, I've been on the road since I was 16 years old. So there's nothing new or shocking about it. I've never known any other kind of life. So every time the schedule gets really nuts and really crazy, I always have to stop for a moment and remind myself, hey, Gene, you asked for this, when you were 13 years old and you said, this is what I want to do with my life. You asked for this, so don't complain about it. And I never do. I'm very fortunate.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at Ghost Cult Mag. I am thrilled to be back once again with nice Gene Hoglan, not mean Gene Hoglan. How are you doing, pal?
Hi there, Keith. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making time on the weekend. Super appreciate it. So busy. You've been on tour. You have a new tour coming. You have this new album dropping in a few weeks as we record this. How the hell are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we just got off the road a few days ago. I'm down here at my studio. We've been rehearsing all this entire week. Didn't take a day off. Flew in, God, I don't know, last Monday or Tuesday, and was in the studio the next morning. So it has been non-stoppity since probably summer of 2022, and the schedule is relentless, but we're used to it, and that's totally cool. So we're really excited. It's a very exciting period of time in the Dark Angel camp. So I've got tons to talk about and tons of news ready to roll, and so that's all pretty darn cool, I tell you.
Right on. We knew from we know you don't take a break. You go, and I hope you do take some time for yourself, for you and Laura, because as we're learning, 2025 is no holds bar. It's relentless. We lost Ozzy. We just lost Brent Hines. Like, life does not wait for us to take care of ourselves. So hopefully you're also keeping well. I know the schedule doesn't permit breaks. People don't understand how hard it is. Touring is hard. Recording is hard. Living is hard. I'm hopeful that since we had this big, global psychotic break a few years ago, that hopefully we'll take better care of ourselves. But, some of us are still slipping.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, it was that psychotic break that the world took that really amped up the schedule then, because we all had to kind of scramble to kind of figure out, okay, well, our general livelihoods have been altered dramatically, so what to do to keep ourselves moving forward. And so, like many pandemic era musicians, that's when I got to work. That's when it got relentless during the pandemic, and it just hasn't stopped since then. I became a live streamer. I went on the Twitch profile for a few years, and that was a really relentless whole pile of learning I had to do. I had to learn how to go from being a thrash metal drummer to now you're in charge of running a podcast essentially on the daily basis. So that was pretty exciting, add that to my resume, I suppose. But I'm always very used to and thankful for the busy schedule. I'm fine with it. This is the only life I've ever known. So being a musician, I've been on the road since I was 16 years old. So there's nothing new or shocking about it. I've never known any other kind of life. So every time the schedule gets really nuts and really crazy, I always have to stop for a moment and remind myself, hey, Gene, you asked for this, when you were 13 years old and you said, this is what I want to do with my life. You asked for this, so don't complain about it. And I never do. I'm very fortunate. My life is really easy compared to some of the guys out there that are grinding for their families, putting food on the table for their kids and their wives and all that. I've got a very, very easy life in comparison, so I don't complain about it, and I'm in a very fortunate position. I'm very grateful to be where I'm at. So there you go.
There you go. We're grateful for you, and we knew we got you really early when the Darkness Descends stuff started to bubble up again for the anniversary. And we knew this was leading to the upcoming new album, Extinction Level Event, which I'm so excited for. And I feel like you've done a terrific job on that, and we're greatly looking forward to that in a few weeks. But I wonder, has there been, like, obviously with Laura coming in, from what I've heard, I love, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the record. Do you feel like the sort of history lesson tours have sort of influenced the new material? Is that fair to say?
Well, gosh, I guess in terms of looking at Dark Angel's history, the one thing that has always been evident with Dark Angel is acknowledging that history, therefore not repeating it. And so that's why, Darkness Descends did not sound like We Have Arrived, and Leave Scars did not sound like Darkness Descends, and so on. So just being very, very cognizant of Dark Angel's, vast history, not wishing to repeat it that's always a blessing. When you're always in a state of evolution, the sky's the limit. You don't have to be like, well, there's a certain section of fans that only want Darkness Ascends and Burning of Sodom and, Perish in Flames and all that. Those fans are great. Those songs are great. Do I want to write Darkness Descends over again, or Perish in Flames, or, like any of these songs that I had a part in writing? Do I want to do that again 34 years later? No, I don't. We did it. So that's why I'm always into looking forward into the future. That was one of the reasons why it took me a long time to come back around to Dark Angel, because I'm always about like the next, the new, the fresh, the whatever it is for me. And so it was, it took a while for me to reconcile the fact of like, yes, there is a way of returning to the thing that you did when you were a teenager and being able to make that very viable and like add to its legacy, add to its worth, and make it something that grows and evolves. And it's not just a return to those are some fun days. Those are great. Hey, those days were great. But there's no point in returning to those days unless you can improve upon it. And so that was the general gist of this latest record. We didn't want it to sound like Darkness or Time Does Not Heal or anything like that. I wanted it to sound like, hey, I've mentioned this in a number of other interviews, like, what if Dark Angel just kept writing material, writing albums, putting out records for the last 30 odd years? Where would we be at today? Like, just view it in that sort of perspective. And you don't have to repeat Darkness or Time Does Not Heal or Leave Scars or We Have Arrived or any of those albums. It's like Dark Angel's always moving forward, trying to do something a little cooler than the last thing. That's what we're always trying to do, whether we hit that mark or not. I'm not the judge of that. But that is one thing that we will always strive for, is let's try to improve the last thing that we did, So that last album being Time Does Not Heal, that was a benchmark of like, can we do something better than that? Yes, very much so. Easy to do. That's easy, So there you go. So that's where we're at right now. I'm really excited about the new album. I've been so excited about this. And I love the material. I love the music. I love the lyrics. I love the vocals. I love the artwork. I love the performances. I love everything about the record. And so I love it, but I'm not the final judge, like I'll let it, now here we're going to shovel it over to all you folks and let you guys make up your minds. If you dig it, great. If you don't dig it, fine. But all I ask, and all I have been asking, is just check it out, listen to it, give it a shot. That's all I ask. I don't think that's too much to ask. And I'll let you guys make up your mind. If you guys all hate it, hey, fair enough. But I'm a pretty good judge of metal, like take a look at my list of albums I've done. I've been involved in some pretty darn cool records, and this one is a pretty darn cool record, so I'm really, really excited. So there you go.
Right on. I'm sure the rest of it is going to rule. I love the first track that I heard. By the way, kind of funny, you've been involved in a comeback record or two in your career, including Testament of the Brotherhood, the Snake Flyer, banner behind me down here on my bottom corner, but also like Formation of Damnation was a big comeback for those guys. And
oh no,
is that?
that was Paul.
That's Paul. Okay. My bad. I was
Okay.
going to say also, I've conversated with, I've interviewed Death Angel. I know Craig from Forbidden. They're in the same boat. They have a record coming next year that's going to get compared to everything they did before. And it's
Right.
hard. It's a hard spot to be in. So I know you can relate though. And,
Indeed.
there's a separate thing between fans and press. And I think this is kind of a thing I mentioned offline that I might want to talk about. Fans are going to do what they're going to do. And we live in a sort of hyper magnified false reality with social media.
Right. Duly noted.
On one hand, I'm glad that people have a voice and the availability of music is great. Whether that's good for the artists or not is not, debatable. But I think the availability of music is cool. And I think the communities that people can gather in and talk is cool. But at the same time, fans are fans and they're going to be critical, but they're not trained critics. And I wonder, what is the place for me in the future? I also still make music. I'm trying to make music with a new band, but what is the future for critics, for reviewers and websites? Do you still pay attention to reviews, or you can't be too close to it?
I never have. I never have. I've got zero social media presence. I freely admit I have a very strong social media presence, but believe me, I am not online. The average person out there, their opinion. I've got my own opinions. My own head is filled with my own opinions on what I think is right and wrong. And so other folks, hard to get through this nut. So have your opinions. Everybody can crab all they want. It never gets to me. It just doesn't. It gets reported to me by my associates and my partners, my business partners, and those who do pay attention. And they will bring things up to my attention. And my whole thing is I don't care. It doesn't, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Have them by all means, but you can't expect your opinion to change my opinion. I don't expect my opinion to change yours. Here I am saying, my opinion is that the new Dark Angel album is killer, but you don't see me going, you better agree with me. I don't. I'm just saying, hey, give it a shot. Listen to it. You make up your own mind. I'm moving forward no matter what with what I do myself. I've got a 41-year career at doing this since I was a teenager. And there's nobody who can affect my trajectory at all. Some stranger whom I have no contact with, that's just never going to happen. And I know people like to get on their soapboxes or whatever. That's fantastic. You have a voice? Great. Use it. Will I hear it? That's a good possibility. No, I'm just telling you the way it is. So say all you like. It doesn't mean I'm going to pay attention to it at all. My manager is very involved in social media. And, that I have no fear. I have no fear of what I do. I have all confidence in every step that I take because I've got a lot of experience at this. And there's just I cannot comment on say there's somebody who is I don't know, an HVAC installer, somebody who installs air conditioning and heating units. I'm not going to get online and say, hey, buddy, do you know that you're not doing that correctly? Because I know nothing about it. And so that's all. I take everything with a large grain of salt. If you don't directly understand what this industry is, what this business is, the architecture behind creating a career, then I don't have much of an ear for that, and that's just me, telling you the way it is. It's hey, the internet has given everybody a platform. If you wish to use it to bring some good, then fantastic. And if you don't wish to do that, that's you, man. I ain't going to tell you what to do. You ain't going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to listen to you, so I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing. I guess you could take a look at it and go, these are the same folks that 25 years ago took my livelihood away from me when they decided to stream and steal music. There's no, we were putting out albums forever and making a little pittance on that, but making a little living on, got this new album coming out, gonna make a little bit of here and there and all that sort of stuff. That was taken from me, and you don't see me complaining about it. I will make that observation here, but yeah, man, that's why I'm a cockroach. I will always survive. Musicians are cockroaches. We will always figure out a way to survive and navigate our way through whatever sort of obstacles are placed in front of us. And opinions being obstacles, if they are, they're just not to me. There's real challenges in this industry that somebody's opinion or thousands of people's opinions, that's, God bless you for having them, but that doesn't mean I'll be paying attention. That's just the way it is,
Right on. Lars was 100% right about streaming and downloading and BearShare and LimeWire and Napster. He was 100% right. So history's going to tell on him.
Everybody called him an asshole for it. Even I did, because I was like, my opinion was like, yes, it exists. Keep it quiet right now, because now you're putting the spotlight on all of it. Now those cockroaches are scattering because you put a light on.
I think the only thing that was at fault in that situation was maybe not going after the fans. The platform, the fans are going to fan. And even this week, we had a review. Deftones have a new record out, right? And we got it early, and our reviewer got to listen to it. And somebody saw our review, because I shared it everywhere using that social media stuff. And somebody was like, well, how did you get to listen to it? Who are you? And I was like, well, I've been a music journalist for 20 years, and we've gotten the last 4 Deftones records to listen to early, and that's what music journalism is. No, I'm not going to leak it for you, because I will be screwed. I will be sued by Warner Brothers forever and never be able to be seen again, ever. I'll never be able to show my face again to everybody that respects and trusts me. And people don't understand that. Fans don't get that. They just want the thing.
And that's where you understand that this has been the way things are for 40 years. Music journalists, 50 years, music journalists get the advance copies and they don't leak them. The unreputable ones do, but that's just where it's like, okay, yeah, you get it. There's somebody going to pipe off and try to tell you your job, but you're trying to hold on to like, hey, this is a fact of life. This is how it goes. We get the advances. No, we don't leak them. That easy.
I remember there was an infamous case about over 10 years ago where your former label mates Nile had their record leaked early, and it was devastating for them financially. I know this. They never saw the money, because like it was, proliferated and people pre-ordered it and bought it. But, streaming has been pretty inequitable. Any way you cut it. It's like a Google. It's a good search engine to discover music. I always hope that people who find Dark Angel tomorrow will find the next thrash band or a new crossover thrash band, or go back and find some older bands like Cryptic Slaughter and Excel and things like that I got into, because I got into the original big thrash bands and I followed all their, all the branches from the tree. So that's my hope for people today. The availability of music is wonderful, but like also the availability of everybody to have a comment. What do you do with your life? We're not talking about brain surgeons for the most part, maybe a few. They're not readers, most of these folks who are online, criticizing. And to me, I loved it when I heard the single come out, for example. I thought it was a banger. I was like, I love this. Please give me 10 more like this.
Thank you.
I don't know why some people were trying to find fault. And I agree with you. First of all, you got to judge slowly. I get that, like, you have your ears and I hear something in a few seconds and I'm like, nope, not that. But at the same time, you really can't judge a whole album on one song or a piece of artwork or a screen grab of a of a piece of a band photo or whatever. These digital mediums are flimsy, man. They're not as strong as like you had to go. If you heard one song and then you went and got the record, let's say by Kiss, you didn't hear the whole rest of the record. You only heard that one single. You heard Beth, and the rest of Destroyer will kick your ass in. But like, if you heard Beth, that was awesome. There wasn't going to be 9 more Beths on there.
Indeed. Well, yeah. I mean, there you go. And so it's sort of a slow process. It's a long haul. And for those who wish to make the snap judgment upon listening to the first 10 seconds of the second single, okay, that's fine. And that's where I'm just like, that's my only thing that I will say is like, hey, check out the the entirety of it, the all-encompassing, this is a momentous occasion for Dark Angel. Maybe not for any of the fans, but for Dark Angel, it's a momentous occasion. And the fact that Dark Angel has a new record out. Hooray! Check it out. If you like it, killer. If you don't, man, that's cool too. It's either way, we are going to keep carrying on at what we do. If you wish to support the band, that is fantastic. Thank you very much. And if you don't, then okay. If you want to come out to the show and buy a shirt, beautiful. Thank you very much. If you just want to listen to the songs on Spotify and never support the band, that is totally your prerogative. And we're going to survive either way. Absolutely.
Right on. How did you get hooked up with Reverse Records as putting this record out? And I saw the pre-order packages are fantastic. There's so much cool stuff. Right.
Well, that's our own imprint, essentially. Okay. It comes from our management or my management. That's been Rob Shallcross's label since Rob and I have worked together for pushing 20 years. We've worked together for 19 years now. And so the fact that he handles all my biz and that sort of thing, and the fact that for me, this is only my opinion and my experience. For me, a record label, there are many kick-ass record labels out there that do great. But for what I am looking for with my career, a record label has become obsolete if I'm not in charge of it. So we are at the point where this is a self-perpetuating sort of situation that we have, and the finances of a record label and the limitations of record labels don't have any of those. There are limitations to what we can do, of course, but I am very committed into, record labels have sort of kind of made themselves obsolete over the years, I think. Many record labels, you don't see a lot of mom and pop stores everywhere. There's no record stores anywhere, so getting hard copies of things is not all that important when you could have a fulfillment center in territories all over the world take care of your stuff. That's many record labels are now pretty much mail order anyway. So I'll create my own mail order. There you go. So that's where, just for me, in my opinion, record labels have become, extinct. So that's where we will level up this event to be able to have its own legs and do its own thing. And Dark Angel will always be able to create whatever we want when we want. And that's been another beautiful thing that's happened. It's like there are many setbacks that come with having putting out records. And we've had a number of setbacks on this one, but there's been no hard deadline of, we're going to drop you guys if you can't make that deadline. No, we can move the goalposts ourselves, and that's fine. That's how that works. So there you go.
I love that. And it's something that I have preached. I do some music marketing and I give some advice to bands. And one of those things is a record release date does not have to be permanently fixed. It can move if you have to move it. And it's not a tragedy. It's the business. This is the business we're in now. But yeah, shout out to you for having that foresight. I'm really excited to see how this plays out for you.
Thank you.
The merch looks amazing. The beautiful looking cherry red on the vinyl. I love the shirt with Bury Everybody at the back.
Right.
With the album artwork on the black shirt with the red. And I love these packages you've been offering. Not a lot of money. Like if you're a super fan, and there are a lot of Gene and Dark Angel super fans out there, I know, I've met them and I am one. There's some incredible stuff. You can get actual equipment used on the album sent to you. Not even for a lot of money, actually, cheaper than I would imagine it really probably should cost, or what collectors would pay. So I was really impressed with that, and hopefully the pre-orders are doing what they're supposed to do for you. We've been promoting the news and the tour, so we got the upcoming tour. You're still doing Darkness Descends because, of course, it needs to be heard. But how many more new songs can we expect in the set list, along with some other old favorites?
Well, the one thing, to get back to the packages and things like that is all due to the management at Reverse Records. That's Rob Shallcross's maneuver. So many kudos to Rob Shallcross for having that sort of vision to be able to put these packages together and be constantly thinking about things like that. Get your heads together, get your sticks together, make sure you got strings and things like that people might be interested in. So I give Rob Shawcross the absolute credit for that. And now when it comes to like the new tour and things like that, the Darkness Descends, the dedicated Darkness Descends tours or shows are, I'm not saying they'll never happen again, but now that is a part of the recent history that is now behind us, because now we're going to start focusing on the brand new record. So I mean, if there's somewhere where doing an all Darkness Descends set is warranted, then fantastic. We'll be open to the idea. But now we got the new record, and so we're not gonna look. I would love to play the entire new album. I'm that into the new record. I would love to do that. And we're not gonna, we're gonna take it easy on people. So, probably play 5 songs. Maybe we might get to a 6th, but there's any number of the songs on the record I would love to play. There's not one song on this album where I'm like, I don't think we should ever play this one live. No, I'll play all of them live. And that's one thing our vocalist Ron Reinhardt was really preaching to us, like, hey, we got to be ready to play every single song at any point. And Ron is a good, he's a good instigator, or just a good influence in that regard. And I'm behind it. Are we going to play every song on this tour? No, but we're going to play a number of them. Let you hear what the new Dark Angel stuff is about. And we've been playing a couple of the new songs live. We've been playing the first 2 new singles live so far. We're going to add another few songs to the set from there, and hopefully people will be like, hey man, we dig your stuff. I want to buy that record down. I like those songs. I'll go to the merch booth and pick up the album or the CD or whatever it is, or go check it out on your streaming services. Just as long as people are just listening to Dark Angel, that's all that matters. If we get to sell a lot of actual physical copies, fantastic. But if that doesn't happen, but people are like, hey, yay, Dark Angel, I'm going to buy a shirt, or I'm going to go to the shows, or I'm just going to support the band and be a positive thing for the band, then fantastic. We will take everybody we can get. Absolutely. We'll take your support and appreciate it. Thank you.
Metal is like AA. We'll take you in any condition. Come on in.
Right. No last names necessary.
Exactly. Rob's a beast, man. I'm so thrilled. And I love this tour. This lineup on this tour is like a dream come true. Sacred Reich, Phil is one of my personal heroes. Hyrax, everybody, Caton, Violence with Sean, Midnight, Void Interceptor. I mean, these are incredible bands, to pull out for this tour. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, like a lot of music history for old heads and new to discover some of these bands they should know. You should have these albums beside Darkness Descends and the new record. You should have Oppressing the Masses, and you need to have, you need to have Surf Nicaragua and Ignorant. You need to have these in your collection if you're a thrash metal person.
Of course, absolutely. Phil is one of the best vocalists in thrash metal. I've always loved his voice. We asked Phil to sing for Dark Angel back in 1987. He was still in high school, so he couldn't do the tour with us. We lost our vocalist, and we reached out to Phil. Hey, Phil, can you do this? He's like, man, I'm still in high school. I can't help you guys. So there you go. And, Bodies on Bodies by Violence is one of the kick-ass riffs of all time, kick-ass tunes. And, Violence, they got that great line. And what is it? Kill on Command. I've always thought this line was great. The ones I love the most are the terrorists who boast of their car bombs while our bombs are bouncing off their heads. What a classic line. That's awesome. And Hyrax, Caton DePenna he was one of my very, very first metal buddies when I was like 12, 13 years old. He was my metal pal, So, Kate and I go back 40 plus years. So this is going to be a great gathering of some just thrash metal lunatics, and come on out and have a great time. It's going to be a night of relentless metal. Like Dark Angel, we got our work cut out for us to keep everybody there and go, catch our pummelingness. You're going to get pummeled all night long, So we know we've got our work cut out for us to keep everybody there. We're definitely up to that challenge. That's right. I am, so, and we all are. So we're really excited. We've had such great press over this last few months of our European sojourns, I guess, and just everything we've been doing over in Europe and down in South America and everywhere. We've been just, we seem to be catching a fire, and people seem to be really getting behind the band and just going, holy moly, Dark Angel is bringing it like crazy. And that is our intent every single night. So it's going to be a pretty relentless evening of thrash metal, especially coming from the Dark Angel side of things. So we're excited to share it with everybody.
Right on. What else do you have going on this fall in addition to the Dark Angel tour? Do you have anything else brewing up?
Right. Well, directly after Dark Angel, like a few days afterwards, we kick into the Death to All the Symbolic Healing Tour, which is going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary. Is it 30th? I guess it's 30 of Symbolic. And to a lesser degree, since none of us were necessarily involved in Spiritual Healing album, we're going to focus on some of that. But it's, the Symbolic album is going to be, you got Bobby Coble, myself, and also Stevie D. Steve DiGiorgio, I've said this many, many times. First of all, Kelly Conlon on bass on Symbolic did a fantastic job. And just for me, Stevie D was Symbolic is a Steve DiGiorgio record because he was involved in every single bit of that album except the recording. All the rehearsals, all the months and months, and writing tons of killer bass lines and all that sort of stuff. So it really is the sort of dream lineup, of the guys who aren't Chuck, Bobby, myself, Stevie D. What a kick-ass lineup, playing these songs really, really well. And our vocalist, Max Phelps, Max is amazing. Like he's one of my, favorite frontmen. He's got such care for the material. He's got such care for the legacy of Death, the legacy of Chuck, that he really, he takes a lot of care in providing what each era needs vocally, and he could have one voice and just hit it with one voice for the entire everything, and a lot of people would be willing to settle for that. There are folks that probably can't do what Max does, but Max takes the time to, these albums are down here, these albums are up here, and these last albums are way up here. Max hits everything. And that is truly what we should be doing as a band that's trying to pay tribute to our friend Chuck. That's kind of a necessary thing. And that's why Death to All is the only band that does what we do. Nobody touches Death to All. Nobody can. That's why I'm so proud of Death to All. And, having Chuck's family being so into us, that's important to me as well. It's like to honor Chuck, to honor the legacy of Chuck's music and also our own legacies as well involved in Death. It's very important to do it right. We were all there for a lot of this band. So being able to represent it on a nightly basis is pretty darn important, to do it well and, come correct, I guess it is. That's what we try to do with Death to All. Absolutely.
Nicely said. And I'm thankful. I've seen many Death to All tours and lineups, and I'm always thrilled. And nice words about Max and Steve. Steve's incredible. And
absolutely,
he's kind of like Leslie of Primus there. It's like, it's not even really bass after a while. It's like, what alien shit are you doing with your fingers? But like incredible. An incredible musician and guy. And Max is lovely. I got to meet him a couple of times and see him a couple of times. He's wonderful. Great job. Excellent. And we're pumped.
And Bobby is no slouch either. I love Bobby.
He's no slouch, and also super kind, takes times with the fans still to this day, appreciates that people appreciate him. There's something to be said for that. There's a whole new generation of players that they are masterful, but I don't know if they have the humility, or I don't know if they have the wherewithal and the professionalism. I'm hoping the older generation will show the young guns how to do it, so we can continue to have this thing. Just for a last thing, because it's been on my mind lately. I'm sure you're tired of getting this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I never have before. I'll give myself some credit for restraint in the past, but I'll say now, do you get tired of hearing about Lars Ulrich and the drum part at the end of one and Darkness Descends being basically identical. I don't want to know. You never said that he ripped it off. It's obviously inspired by, they're very similar. Obviously, one is one of Metallica's signature songs. And hey, Metallica's Metallica. They're the biggest band in the world. They transcended metal to rock and other things, and I'm proud of them, and I'm a huge fan. But also, when I first heard one, and it's amazing, I was like, oh my God, this sounds exactly like a song I know from Dark Age. Like, I remember it the day I heard it. I was like, this is Darkness. This is that song. This is the first song on that album. Like, the first thing you hear is the beat. And then it's this main riff at the end of this incredible song by Metallica that no one has ever acknowledged it. I don't even think he's been asked about it. And I love Lars, and I'm not hating on him because we just praised him earlier. But like, are you tired of hearing about this? And do you have kind of a definitive feeling one way or another about it?
Oh gosh, well, I guess at the end of the day, Metallica are our godfathers, so they're allowed to do whatever they like. We've all taken enough of an influence from Metallica in every way possible. If we get to add a little back into the pot, great. There's a lot of other bands that Dark Angel has also similarly influenced, but Metallica, they get to do whatever they like, so that's awesome. But I never even think about it. Man. I mean, I remember getting the phone calls from my pals who were hearing the song because that was like their first single that was getting played on KNAC back in LA back in the day. And I didn't listen. I listened to my cassettes. I didn't listen to the radio too much, and so I was getting the phone calls from pals saying, hey man, have you heard that dude? And then the first lyric is darkness, and I'm like, I haven't heard it yet. But then when I heard it, it's like, okay, well, there you go. And in one ear, in one brain, and out the other, I never even thought about it. The press brings it up way more than I ever think about it, so which is great. That's very awesome. I mean, I appreciate the fact that that if we have had some kind of, hey, that's our, if we've got something that can be tagged along with a hashtag of Metallica, then kick ass. There you go. But, Lars is the godfather of thrash metal drumming. James, Dave Mustaine, all the guys, Gary Holt, all the godfathers, Jim Durkin, Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman, all the godfathers of riffery back in the day, and all the great drummers that have done their things. And, I mean, we wouldn't be going boop bam, 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 thrash metal beat without Lars putting it on the No Life Till Leather demo. So there you go. I've taken enough from Lars that, if I could add something back, then kick ass. But I will admit, James Hetfield plays that beat better than Lars or me ever did. Like, James Hetfield just rips it. You remember when they were doing the drum thingy together 30 years ago? James just destroying it. I'm like, God, I never played as good as James.
He used to jump on the drums, and his son is quite a good drummer, actually, Castor.
I bet.
His band, Bastardane, yeah. He's quite a great drummer himself. Just thanks for humoring me with that. Guilty as charged. Yeah. We bring it up. It gets asked of me, hey, you guys interview Eugene a lot. If next time you talk to him, ask him this. So I was like, you know what, I will. And I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, like, to me, and a shout out again to rest in power to Jim. Dark Angel, like Exodus, was there at the beginning, and they just came out a little bit later than the other bands.
Absolutely.
Or we'd be talking about Dark Angel and maybe not Anthrax or Metallica or Slayer, but we are. And I'm really glad that you've had this comeback. I appreciate you making the space to do this, to be comfortable with your artistry and your history, to be able to bring this band forward for everybody else to hear and appreciate. I'm grateful as a fan, so thank you. And I cannot wait. I'm really, of course. And I really am excited for Extinction Level Event. And it's right around the corner. So
aren't you?
We'll get
Freddie Mercury's birthday.
Freddie Mercury's birthday, word up. And we will see you. Yeah. Yeah, and we will see you on the tour. Thank you, as always, for being kind and generous, Gene. Thank you.
Excellent, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the road, man.